Thing's rigged, man. Feels like this thing's rigged, but damn, it's fun, man. It is a fun time to be alive.
Whoever's writing it, thank you.
Burrowhead instead of
Arrowhead. Whoa!
Yeah.
The disrespect to Arrowhead continues.
They're throwing a lot of bulletin board material out there.
Just keep talking, keep saying we're the underdogs, keep calling it Burrowhead.
Giving us a chip on our shoulder, right? Keep giving us a reason to have one. Like
that's when you know that you're going to win the playoff game. And you can feel it.
We didn't wait to call MJ the GOAT. What are we waiting for? His instincts, faster, better than Brady. He moves better than Brady, arm better than Brady, winning more early over Brady, not relying on defense like Brady.
Trying to buy some time on that bad ankle. Moving to his right. He is now scrambling, and he's going to get a first down. And now gets hit late! He gets hit late! He gets hit late! Mahomes gets hit late. It'll be a 15-yard penalty on top of the gain. Harrison Butker, the biggest kick of his Chiefs' life. Placement is down. Butker's kick is up. The spinning kick high, floating in the air. And it is good! 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 Did Cincinnati call timeout? They did not! They did not! They did not! Formation, and it is caught over there now, slipping. And the Chiefs will tackle him! This game is over! This game is over!
I don't know who the hell they think they was calling this Burrowhead. I don't know who the hell they thought they was talking about they'll go finish us off. They'll take their bum ass back to Cincinnati. Man, they came to Chiefs Kingdom and got their ass stuffed off.
Woo! Burrowhead my ass! Woo! It's Mahomes' house!
I told them this year they barely got my back. I told them with the playoff though, I'm the king. They gotta holler at me every game.
You can doubt the Chiefs. You can dislike the Chiefs. You can disrespect the Chiefs. You're going to have to deal with the Chiefs as the AFC champions.
Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth. You jabroni. You got to fight for your right to party.
Let's go!
Yeah, baby. Chiefs Kingdom.
Woo!
It's Wednesday. It's a little after 7 o'clock. That means it's time for Chiefs Kingdom Live. Thank you so much, everybody who's joining us this evening. If you haven't already, click like, click subscribe, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell your post mailman, whatever, tell anybody. Spread the word. We'd really appreciate it. Fellas, we're going back to the Super Bowl, baby. How are we feeling?
We're going to the Super Bowl, baby!
Yeah, unbelievable game. All credit to Bo for the intro montage that he put together there. That thing was awesome. Very well done, Bo. That thing got me. That thing got me right back into Victory Monday form when you sent that over yesterday. I'm ready to run through a brick wall headed into this Super Bowl. So, how you doing tonight, Bo?
Oh man, I am great. I think I just wake up every day going, "We're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to the Super Bowl, man!" Like it's still that same feeling as the first one a couple years ago, man. Like, oh, just so awesome, such a great feeling. Nick, how you doing, my man?
Man, that intro gave me some goosebumps, man. I'm feeling it. Scotty and I were at the game, freezing our butts off, shivering, had all kinds of layers. I know we did a quick, pod afterwards in the parking lot while somebody, some pissed off Cincinnati fan caught the parking lot on fire allegedly. But yeah, I'm great, man. It was an amazing game, an amazing time. Just hearing the people talk about what we saw and what we've known, right, after all the stuff. And it's always like, oh, well, what about, this guy? And what about this guy? And what about, first it was, oh man, I can't wait for the Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes rivalry for the next 10 to 15 years. And then it's, oh, Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, and now it's Joe Burrow. And for now everybody to recognize, like, dude, Mahomes is the dude, and they'll forget it next year. They'll forget in the offseason. They're going to sit there and talk about how, Sean Payton and the Broncos are going to win the AFC West, and they'll forget. But right now, everybody knows. Everybody knows who the dude is. It's the guy that went in there with a depleted wide receiving core on one leg with a sprained ankle and went in and showed up. Supposedly the new NFL's golden boy who threw 2 picks and got sacked on 3rd down with the game on the line instead of running with a bum leg for a 1st down and drawing the penalty that ultimately got us in the field goal range to win. So I'm doing great, man. I'm pumped up, man. It's been a great week.
Yeah, I wanted to win that game more than, any game that I can remember in recent memory. I really wanted to win the Titans championship game. I really wanted to win the Bills game because the Bills were kind of like the Bengals there when the Chiefs won the 2nd consecutive Lamar Hunt trophy to go to the Super Bowl. But that game against the Bengals, after losing to that team 3 straight times, after all the trash talk, which we'll get into all that. But, yeah, I wanted that game bad. And, Nick mentioned, we were at the game. Bengals fans, I don't know how you outdo Steelers fans as the most obnoxious, worst visiting fans, but they did it somehow. They were just so loud and absolutely just going out of their way to be obnoxious. We've talked about this before. There's one thing about going to an away game and having fun, and giving the home fans a little back and forth and representing your team. Bo, we went out to Arizona for week 1, and we were having a good time, but we were also trying to be respectful of their stadium.
We made friends with Cardinals fans. The Cardinals fans were parked right next to us. We had drinks with them.
Yeah.
We made friends with them.
Yeah. These people were not there to be friendly or cool or respectful. So, yeah, it was fuming. I was wanting to win that game bad. But they get it done. Arrowhead 3 trips to the Super Bowl in the last 4 years for this team. I remember when the Bills went to 4 straight, everybody was talking like, oh, my God, this is unbelievable. The Chiefs are 1 blown lead against the Bengals last year away from their 4th straight. Really, you could add in a D Ford offsides away from maybe even going to 5 straight. Unbelievable what this team, what they've been able to do since they brought Patrick Mahomes into Kansas City. So much to talk about. I want to see everybody in the comments. I want to see everybody. Right now is the time to talk yo shit. Let everybody know.
Season's over. Proof is in the pudding that is now ready to be served.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, let's catch up here. We got so far. What's up, Brenda? We see you in the chat. John C, Dylan, Chris Daly.
Everybody, thank you for joining.
I know I saw Big Doug in there. I'm sure. Yep, there's Laney. Welcome to the chat, guys. If you're watching and you haven't dropped a comment, drop a comment so we can recognize you. But yeah, it's exactly right, Scott. Let's talk yo shit, because they talked all week, and really the team wrote a check that Joe Burrow had to cash, right? I mean, it kind of felt like they're like, yeah, well, we got the guy, and it's like, yeah, well, like we're gonna eat that guy alive, and see what you can do, because you got backup offensive linemen, and Chris Jones is playing like a man that's possessed, right? I mean, Skip Bayless called him Cocaine Bear, which was pretty accurate based on the game. I mean, he had 2 sacks, he had 3 tackles for a loss, and I think he had 5 QB hits. Scott wore the Chris Jones jersey to the game. Yeah, so it's been fun. I mean, I try to abstain from talking to people on Twitter and talking shit, but I indulged a little bit this week because I felt like it was warranted. And people need to know, man, you don't like just talk like that about somebody that's accomplished more for a longer period of time than you, and talk like you're the big dogs, and then you fall flat on your face and there's no repercussions for that. Be a little more respectful next time of the people that you're playing. Because to be honest, I respect this Bengals team, right? It's a coin flip game when we play them. But the way they were talking, you would have thought that they blew us out in 3 straight games and that they had gone to, 3 straight Super Bowls and won them all. But Now they can, to quote Frank Clark, take their bum ass back to Cincinnati.
They got thumped, right? It's funny. Last week we were talking about like, do you think these players really hear it, right? So like, we now know that they do hear it. Let's hear what Patrick Mahomes had to say about all the shit talking.
To kind of gear up for this type of matchup.
Yeah, I think guys were probably the most pumped up I'd seen them going into a football game. A lot of trash talk coming from a lot of different places. I think no one picked us to win. If so, it was like 5% of people. And we think we've built up enough respect to have a chance to go out and win every game. So whenever you feel like you're the underdog, when you're playing at Arrowhead Stadium, it gets guys ready to go.
What in particular they said? Was it the Burrowhead stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you got Burrowhead. They beat us last time. They were talking about we got to play them. There was a lot of stuff. I mean, the mayor came at me, man. I understand he's the mayor of Cincinnati, so he has to think about something. But it's something that you just got to play the football game and then let.
We were talking about that exact thing last week. It's one thing for players to go at it back and forth between each other, but when the mayor gets involved and starts shit talking your players, you're just pushing them to another level. They didn't have a chip on their shoulder that much. I mean, like, yeah, there's some bantering back and forth, but I feel like when the mayor entered the picture, it took it to a whole nother level. And these guys are like, all right, let's get to business, fellas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor Jabroni.
We'll see you Sunday. Mayor Jabroni.
Like you said, we talked about it in last week's episode. Just keep talking because we talked about whether whether the team pays attention to that kind of stuff and whether bulletin board material is real, especially for the professional level once you get that high up there. We've seen glimpses into it, though, with Patrick, especially where he got picked 3rd or 5th best in the NFL 100 behind Lamar Jackson that one year. And when he smoked the Ravens and kicked Lamar Jackson's ass in that game at Baltimore, he did the counting his fingers. When he played the Bears, he kind of did the same thing. He counted to they picked this guy first. Mitchell Trubisky was still on the Bears at that point. So, Patrick listens to it. Obviously, the team listens to it. You saw in the montage there at the ending, Travis Kelce telling the mayor of Cincinnati to know his role and shut his mouth. Old school the rock vibes from old school WWF wrestling. And dude, the cherry on the top was when he said that he did put his hand up to the crowd. Dude, I was dying.
The Rock retweeted that video. Did you know that?
Yeah.
He
did.
The Rock retweeted it and said, "I like the violent. I think the violent shut your mouth instead of shut your mouth."
Right.
Yep. Yeah. No, he hit it spot on. And I remember looking at Nick and saying, "Did he just say that?" And then I get to think of is this part of the interview on television? So,
damn right it was. He's setting himself up for a second career in the WWE, man. He's ready for it too.
Yeah, he is. He's good to go. But 3rd time bringing the Lamar Hunt Trophy home to Arrowhead, where it belongs in the last 5 seasons. Let's just do before we'll get to the game here in a second. But the Chiefs are the big dogs in the AFC. Okay, don't make any mistake. The Bengals,
No
Joe Mixon was talking about, we're the big dogs now. You won 1 championship and went and got waxed in the Super Bowl by a so-so Rams team. The Chiefs have had the AFC Championship game 5 years in a row at their house, have won 3 of them. Okay? So this talk of who's the big dogs in the AFC and who's the team to beat, it's always been the Chiefs, and it's still the Chiefs. That said, let's just talk about this game. What a game.
Let's get into it. Jeez.
What were your guys' Nick, I know yours, but everybody watching doesn't, so we'll get to you too. But Bo, what was your emotional roller coaster like watching that game?
All season I was just like, can we just get stress-free Chiefs game? And I'm just starting to realize that's not a thing. That those are so rare. Like, you might as well go unicorn hunting. You have better odds of finding one of those. Overall, though, man, I text you guys this at halftime for what it was. I was super impressed with both sides of the ball. It was just a hard-fought game through and through. Had crazy nerves when I saw Sky Moore back there returning punts and kicks, and I was just like, what are they doing? And I would just love to be a fly in the wall in the coach's room, or have like an earpiece into their chatter when they're like, all right, let's send Sky Moore. And like, everybody, like, you sure about that? Yeah, send in 24. You know, like I was nervous, but man, did that guy redeem himself this game. We'll get into that punt return way later, but first half of the game, slow rolling, right? Like just field goals, and defense. But I was super impressed with what we were doing. Our quarterback was on one leg. Everybody was pretty much beat up, from all of our wide receivers to our tight ends. Some of our O-line had issues. So considering all the injuries, I was super impressed with their performance. What about you?
No, it was. I was really impressed by how that they hung in there, and they had a couple opportunities to put it away, and they didn't. But to get a big lead and let the Bengals kind of creep back in there, yeah, it was a close game, a little nervous, but I felt all week that the Chiefs are going to win the game. A couple spots there, I got a little nervous, especially when the Chiefs kicked the ball, punted the ball away there at the very end. But yeah, I was a little up and down, but maybe not as up and down as it should have been, or maybe as most fans. I still just felt really confident Chiefs are going to win most of the game. Nick?
Going into the game, I think my prediction was 34-17. That obviously fell off. But, I mean, the way the defense came out, I mean, we had, 3 or 4 sacks in the first quarter? Dude, we're pacing to have probably the most sacks ever in a championship game. And then I think the line adjusted and probably held a little bit more. But we had the opportunities, and we get that interception, and I'm thinking we're going to go, and it's going to be 20, and we're going to get the ball at half, and we could potentially be looking at going up 27-6 before they touch the ball again. Right. Obviously, that didn't happen, but I mean, I was feeling good, and then, man, I'll be honest, towards the end there, when we punted the ball with a couple minutes left, I told Scott, I was like, we're going to probably lose this game, huh? And he's like, yeah, I don't know, man. But, I was wrong. And the defense really stepped up. I mean, but when you look back on it, you're like, we never trailed in the game. We had less turnovers. We had more yards. We had more first downs, more passing yards, more passing touchdowns. I mean, so realistically, if you were to look at the box score and then you look at the actual score, you'd probably be maybe a little surprised that it was as close of a game as it was. So, kudos to the Bengals for fighting back. But, I mean, going in, I was confident. Walking into the stadium, I was irritated. I think the Houday thing is just fucking stupid, right?
It is.
People think that about the chant, though. I'm pretty sure.
And they're just walking around yelling "Houday," and some other guy goes "Houday," and it was annoying as shit. And I don't know if it's the gate that we were at, but there were a lot of Bengals fans walking into that specific gate. So I was annoyed walking in, and I was just sitting there thinking, just think about when we win, and just think about when we win, and then we won. And all of a sudden, it's just like, hey, where'd all those Bengals fans go? And on the way out, I'm not a big shit talker, but my brother is, and my brother Scotty down there, he had some kind words for all those Bengals fans on the way out while we were all trying to get out of the parking lot. So
there was a video online of one guy just sitting there watching all the Bengals fans leave, and he's like, "Houday!" as they leave it, and just they look at him and flip off his camera, like, "Yeah, that's who they are, Houday!" So good.
Yeah, with all the trash they were talking and how loud and obnoxious they were being before the game out in the parking lot, and like Nick said, in line at the gates, most of them had to know that was coming if they lost, and so it probably was no shock to them. And that's why a lot of them just walked on by that guy in that video and didn't really have a whole lot to say back. But yeah, Chris, you're right. One-legged man won the ass-kicking contest. We'll get to Patrick Mahomes' performance here in a little bit. So let's just get into the game in kind of more detail. It starts off, Chiefs win the toss. They come out. They were ready to play. How many times have we seen this team come out in a playoff game and get behind, look like maybe they're not ready to play, maybe the game plan isn't necessarily the best, they get behind. They came out and won the coin toss, deferred to second half possession, Bengals get the ball. Defense comes out all over Joe Burrow. It was like they were in the huddle with the Bengals sacking him. Defense kind of set the tone early, let them know it was going to be a long day. Chiefs get the ball first quarter, moving the ball easily, kind of moving the ball at will. I was feeling really good about how the game started. Then, of course, we have to get the touchdown catch, Tony, and take away a touchdown run, call a touchdown catch, not a catch.
Oh, bro, I forgot about that. Jeez, yeah.
It wouldn't be a Chiefs Bengals game without them taking away a touchdown or taking away a turnover, a big play from us.
But the game was rigged, I was told. Why would they take away a touchdown from us if they're trying to give it to us?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit the narrative all that well. On a weak-ass holding call, it was a sick run by Isaiah Pacheco, who had a rough day. I really was expecting Isaiah Pacheco to have a big game. I thought they were going to rush 3, drop 8 to try to slow down Patrick, and that was going to leave room for the running game. Pacheco didn't have his best game, but he made some big plays when he needed to. But game starts out early. Chiefs are moving the ball, but they settle for a couple of field goals. Not necessarily because of anything that they did wrong.
They had to settle for that.
Some iffy penalties. At the beginning of that game, what stood out to you the way it started, Nick?
Yeah, the same, right? We felt like we were dominating the game, and then you look up and you're like, and we only got 6 points, and I felt kind of uneasy about that, to be honest. I mean, that's kind of the start. Really frustrating. The touchdown taken off the board in the stadium. You don't get the replays. I still haven't really watched it to see. I've heard it was kind of a borderline call, maybe one you wouldn't want to see take a touchdown off the board, but look, whatever. And then the thing that really irritated me was, we had to use a challenge to get the first down, right. But then the Bengals threw a challenge flag and they picked it up and give it back to them. They're like, nah, we got this one. You guys keep that. And they just overruled it. So that was irritating.
After discussion.
That gets conveniently left out when all the Bengals fans were crying and whining about the referees giving us the game and being on our side the entire way. Funny how they leave that part out.
Yep. So I'm agreeing with Dylan here, right? It just lost opportunities and points we left on the field to start the game. But the other thing that stood out to me was just how dominant our defense looked in that first quarter against them. The Bengals, I think, had no yards in the first quarter on offense because the sacks negated anything that they did.
Oh, yeah. I was like, well, I get what you're saying.
And it kind of waned a little bit, right? And look, you're not going to hold a team to 0 yards for an entire game. But I think some of that that rush maybe wore off, and the bulletin board material gives you juice for a little bit. But then once you're in the game, you're in the game. But that's really, it was just the defense. And really, that to me, that's the underlying thing that with this game that really sticks out to me is just the way the defense performed, because Mahomes is going to get all the attention, and he should, right? Get a lot of attention for what he did in his performance. But without the defense, getting the ball back at the end there and keeping them from going down and getting a field goal and kneeling it out, we're sitting here talking about how we lost 2 in a row to the same team. And so those were kind of, the intro to the game. That's where I was feeling is like, man, I feel like we didn't really capitalize. And maybe had, some things not go our way that could have gone the other way to keep us from having a 2-score plus lead.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what we kind of harped on about every Bengals game that we've lost to them, right? Was just that, the officiating. You got to get over the officiating. We're always playing the Bengals and the refs. But the defense, right? The defense just, Nick said it. They just played lights out. We just harped on all season how we're the only team that can't get to Joe Burrow, and in the first quarter had 4 sacks. And I'm like, well, I guess that's over. I was thinking we might have 12 sacks this game the way this is going. This is unreal. But to that same point, we also had 10 rookies play in this game, right? So that's what really stood out to me is I know it's championship game. It's not rookie early in the season. Like these guys are veterans now, but still, like I think that's a postseason record having that many rookies play in the AFC Championship game. So that just, I mean, most of them are on defense. I know we have a couple on offense, but most of those guys are on defense. So that's just going right off with what Nick said. The defense completely stood out to me. Hats off to them. Held them to 6.5 points, man. Like I text you guys, I'm like, whew, I mean, I know what we just saw, but 6 points, man, that's awesome. So hats off to the D, 100%.
Yeah, to hold that team to that output in the first half, it really kind of helped mitigate the impact of the points taken off the board by the referees. I'm a hard time holding against the Chiefs. They got the ball in the end zone twice. We couldn't really tell on the Jumbotron the Kadarius Toney thing. I know some people online were saying it wasn't a catch. Chiefs fans were saying it was and wasn't a catch. Looked like on the Jumbotron to us, it looked like the ball was in his arm. I know some people said shifted, but never really. I haven't seen an angle where I went back and tried to find one of the replays I could online where really you can see where the ball touches the ground. The ball can shift around in your arm as long as it doesn't touch the ground. It was one of those things where it was one of those plays where you'd like to see him call it a touchdown so that it's reviewed. How many times have you heard that and you've seen it in other games?
Yeah,
if the
so they can err on the
touchdown, then it can be reviewed without the other team having to use a challenge. Right. And if it's that close, you want to tell me the guy could really see the ball move that much and then maybe graze a couple blades of grass? Well, you call it a touchdown, and that way it gets reviewed. They didn't do that. They doesn't seem like they do that for us very often. But
I mean, you text me live during that play. Is it a touchdown? And I said no right away. And we were talking about it, kind of texting. I know it's hard to text in during a live game and everything, but he did catch it, right? And the weird thing is like, had he been a runner, it would have been a touchdown. But because runners and receivers have different rules, because he had possession of it, knee and arm down, right? And then as he's going to there is an angle out there as he's going to the ground, you actually see it hit the ground, turn, and like he scoops it back up, right? So like it's definitely doesn't maintain it by the rules. But like what you're saying, it's so close that in real time, you're telling me that ref saw that? We're watching it with 4K TVs and in super slow motion, and you can see every little detail. And I'm with you on that. Like I don't feel like he saw that in real time, and they should have erred on the side or made the call on the side of thinking that it was a touchdown, so they could do all of that. But my after seeing the replay, though, I didn't think it was a catch. So
feeling really good about the way the game's going. Chiefs get the ball; they get it right there before the end of the half. It was an interception, almost in field goal range, and I probably owe Andy Reid an apology, but the Chiefs throw 3 straight. So I want to say there was like 2 minutes and 20 seconds or 2 minutes and 25 seconds left in the half. You get the ball. You're right almost at midfield. They don't use any time off the clock. 3 straight incomplete passes.
7 seconds or something like that.
Don't even get into field goal range. And they're punting. And I'm thinking, how many times do you see the Chiefs run the ball on first down up the middle?
Dude, every time they do that, all I hear is your voice. 1st and 10 up the middle. God damn it, right? That's what I hear in the back of my head.
It's no shit.
Not once on that drive, though.
That's where you run the ball on first down, right there, because you either make the Bengals use a timeout or you get it down to the 2-minute warning. And then you're calling plays on the other side of the 2-minute warning. Worst case scenario, you don't get in the field, you punt it away to them. They've used all their timeouts, or you've used most of the clock.
Right.
I thought that was a huge missed opportunity going into the half. Were you guys thinking the same thing I was thinking? Like, how do you get the ball right there and not use any time, not get any points, give it back to the Bengals? They go down, they score a field goal, and now instead of it being 16-3 or 20-3, it's 13-6 at the half. Nick?
Yeah, it's a head scratcher. You got to be aware of what the clock is. Now, I don't know. The Bengals, I think, had all their timeouts. That may have factored into what they were thinking. But you didn't force them to use any timeouts, and you took no time off the clock. And you also got to factor when you're running some of those plays that, hey, I don't think I'm going to throw 3 incomplete passes in a row. what are the odds of that happening in a game, right? With Patrick Mahomes, probably not that great. But yeah, I agree. It was a weird time to abandon the run for sure. When throughout the game they kept trying to get the running game going, but Cincinnati really just stopped the run. I think their game plan was, we're going to force Mahomes with one leg to try to beat us with his arm, which was a bad move. But I think that they were definitely stopping the run. But yeah, it was a head scratcher. It was a weird play call on those 3 plays that ended up allowing the Bengals. I think they went down and got field goal right before, and we're sitting there like, now we're in the same boat where we let them go and score right before half again.
Right.
And it wasn't a great move, to be honest. But I mean, it's not a great move when it doesn't work out. There's a lot of people that sit there and say Andy runs too much, but situationally, you would think that you would run at least one of those plays just to try to chew, 30 seconds off the clock if they don't call a timeout.
Or to your point, one of their timeouts, right? Chew up one of their timeouts. Like,
right.
I think it doesn't matter which half you're in, under 5 minutes, the time has to be in the back of your mind always. Like, it has to be one of your considerations, in my opinion. It just didn't seem like it was there. But to Nick's point, I also agree that they probably thought that Mahomes was going to make one of those passes and, eat up 30 seconds, eat up a timeout, make them retool their defense. And we were that close to completing some of those catches, but man, they were just, one out of the hands. One was overthrown. One was just terrible. But I think all of Chiefs Kingdom was thinking the same thing. Like, why aren't you running the ball at least once? That's, again, I would love to be in their headset, just listening to, like, if there's that much thought going into it, or if it's just kind of more automatic, like they have, X amount of plays lined up, or if it's like a situational thing, like they talked about it inside 2 minutes, we're going to do this kind of thing. Yeah. Who knows? That's up to the coaching staff. Only they'll know why they decided to do that, but it worked out. And yeah, like Nick, like it worked out in the end, but not right then and there. But in the end, it didn't matter. But curious to see what they would be thinking of that spot.
Yeah, it ended up not costing them. They also went for a pretty smart move on 4th down right there, kind of close. It was right before the interception, right, where they go for it on 4th down. It's 4th and 3, and they throw a 20-something yard touchdown to Travis Kelce. So I got to give them credit for that move there. That was gutsy to go for it there and get that touchdown. Good to see you, Tom. Thanks for joining us. So that second half of the game was wild. Back and forth.
Evening.
Back and forth in the second half. Bengals score some, get some touchdowns. They come back, tie the game. Defenses are kind of trading stops there. And then we get down in the fourth quarter and crunch time. The defense shows back up. Kind of like they did in the first quarter, started getting to Burrow. He had started dirting a lot of balls, just throwing them away to avoid sacks. The Chiefs could have had 7 or 8 sacks in that first half if Joe Burrow
easily
wouldn't have just dumped the ball off or threw it out of bounds, got rid of it. Fourth quarter, it's tied 20-20. They're going back and forth. They get the sack there that gets the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. Rest is history. Exciting second half to the game. What stood out to you most about the second half, Nick?
What stood out to me in the second half was that we got one of the greatest pictures ever in Chiefs history.
Which
the memes surrounding that picture right now on the internet are just great. If you're listening,
I went.
It's when Chris Jones is sacking Joe Burrow from behind. Joe Burrow's wincing like he's in pain. But the memes surrounding that on the internet are just.
I went tasteful. So
you removed the captions on top and below, I notice.
Yeah, no. I just went with straight up the picture. But that's really what stood out to me was, and when I was going through and trying to make the slideshow, is how many different people stepped up to perform for this team to pick it up and get it across the finish line, right? You had Chris Jones making his plays. You had Patrick Mahomes, obviously, but you had, I don't know, Kemp Marcus Kemp came in the game, right?
14-yarder just out of nowhere.
I don't think that Sky Moore was returning punts because they wanted him to, right? I didn't realize how many they weren't like sitting there announcing people, oh well, this person's hurt and this person's hurt. And so they're like, dude, please don't fumble, but you got to get in there, right? And so you've got Sky Moore, you've got Tommy Townsend and Butker, right? That Tommy Townsend punt out of bounds was huge right there. It pinned him deep, and then he held perfectly, and Butker nailed through. I mean, and it was bitterly cold. I know we've had some comments about that, but really bitterly cold. And to kick that field goal, I mean, that ball feels like a rock, right? So that's what stood out to me was really just the number of guys in the rookies and the guys off the practice squad that we signed and our second teamers that came in and really delivered. And what a strong roster we have, because Mahomes gets all the accolades, like I said before, but really, when it came down to it and the offense wasn't performing, there's a bunch of other people that stepped up to make sure that we were able to get this thing, and bring the trophy home. So
I think this was Mahomes' 14th or 15th game where he hit 10 receivers, right? And so like that definitely stood out to me a lot, man. Just watching, like, who's he throwing it to? Oh, it's somebody completely different. Oh, it's somebody completely different. Oh, there's Juju. Oh, hey, I forgot he was on our team. There's Marcus Kemp. Like what really stood out is we have the greatest quarterback of all time playing for our team right now. Like the joke, one-legged man wins ass-kicking contest. That's been played out, but man, it's true. I don't know if you guys saw Nick Wright readjusted his quarterback rankings to Patrick Mahomes. Now Patrick Mahomes on one leg and Joe Burrow instead of Joe Burrow in between, right? It's just so fascinating to watch. Like, even when he's hurt and limited, he still produces a show. And then all of his weapons that he has. Travis Kelce, dude, banged up going into the game. Dude is so strong. The way he plays, going for yak, taking on hits, like you guys are saying, to lower your helmet and just go into somebody when it's that cold takes some cojones, and that dude has some big ones, right? The defense, just everybody had a tackle. It seemed like this year when they were listing the stats, everybody had a tackle. 5 sacks, so many QB hits. I think Jones had, like, to Nick's point, Jones had 12 of those 5 out of the 12 of those QB hits. Excuse me, getting rattled with all these defensive stats, but man, just like it was just like what Nick said at the beginning. So many people stepped up to the plate when it mattered that it's hard to single out like who specifically did well this game, because everybody did well. We did such great complimentary football this game that like it's like, oh, so good to watch that. And it was against the Bengals too. So what stood out to you, Scott?
Yeah, it stood to me. It was just the grit of the team, and that I feel like that oozed out of Mahomes, kind of, and to the rest of the team that he's out there making plays, being gritty, hurt on one leg. You had guys. The Chiefs, they got the intentional grounding penalty on Burrow. It's 3rd and 16 or 3rd and 18, and they give up 25 yards. And that could have been really deflating. That was – I know if maybe there was a little bit of doubt that creeped into my mind at all during the game, it was at that point when they gave up that 3rd and 18. I just thought, but if you couldn't get off the field at 3rd and 18 right there, field goal wins it. They're not pinned deep. Few more first downs. They're out at the 20-something, 30-yard line. 3 or 4 more first downs, and they're in field goal range. But they gritted it out, and Chris Jones gets the sack on 3rd and 8 that gets the ball back to the Chiefs. Yeah, it was just a gritty performance, man. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't necessarily the way you would want to draw it up. It gave a lot of people in Arrowhead probably some high blood pressure, probably gave some people some took maybe a few days or weeks off of some lives there, but hey, they gritted it out, did what they needed to do. You were talking about Patrick Mahomes. Let's just talk about that guy for a minute, man. All year it was, oh, who's the MVP? Is it Patrick Mahomes or is it this guy? Is it Patrick Mahomes or is it that guy? Is it Patrick Mahomes or is it this other guy? It was always Patrick Mahomes. The guy is writing a legacy. That was a legacy game for that man right there.
Oh, yeah.
To play the way he did on one leg. You talked about the injuries. Guys are going down. He didn't have Juju. He didn't have Kadarius. He didn't have his top 3 receivers. He had Sky Moore. You mentioned Marcus Kemp. Marcus Kemp is a special teams / practice squad player.
He just got re-signed to the active squad, I think like 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's the stuff that all-time greats and legends are made of. What he did in that game. He's got the bad ankle. Still gets the edge, still gets to the corner somehow on basically it wasn't the game-winning run because the field goal by Harrison Butker, who we'll get to here in a little bit, was the game-winning play. But to set up the game-winning kick, he gets the edge on those 2 Bengals defenders on an ankle. We've seen guys, Mac Jones missed 4 or 5 games earlier in the season with that same injury. This dude comes out there, runs for 5 or 6 yards, gets the first down. Thank you very much for the late hit out of bounds to add 15 to make the kick a little bit easier. Now, the Chiefs had 8 seconds. They could have ran a 3 or 4 or 5 second play where they got a guy out in the flat, out by the sideline, possibly picked up, another 8 or 10 yards to make that kick easier. But that guy is unbelievable. And he's getting to the point for me where you just expect this kind of stuff out of him, which is kind of unfair, really.
100%. He set the bar so high.
Yeah, when he keeps doing it, you just come to expect it, and that's what the all-time greats do. They rise up in the big moments. Nick, Patrick Mahomes, what stood out to you about the way he played?
Really, those 2 touchdown passes were just insane throws, especially the one to MVS. The one to Kelsey, that's a 4th down play. And just really just the like you said, the grit and the determination. It wasn't and it didn't feel like when we were there, it didn't feel like this high powered offensive game from him. And then we're in the car and I was like, dude, Mahomes threw for over 300 yards. And Scott's like, what? He did? And I was like, yeah, 320 plus yards with 2 touchdowns, no picks, a 105 passer rating. And then people sit there and say, well, that's the game where he only had 1 leg, right? But I expected it, right? And it's unfair for us really to expect that of him.
You called it last week. You're like, when Mahomes comes off of an injury, he usually does really well.
Yeah, we knew it. We knew it was going to happen, and it's really kind of unfair to him that we have such high expectations, and really unfair to us and the rest of the league that he's able to deliver it. Because it's just like talk about like unfairness in the NFL. Having Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback is just unfair. So kudos to him. He worked hard. Kudos to I saw that the trainer that worked with him with his high ankle sprain, they posted out Burkholder posted her holding the trophy. Patrick retweeted it. Kudos to that entire team for working their butt off to get him ready to go out on the field. Imagine that job pressure, right? You're on the Chiefs staff and they're like, all right, we've got the AFC Championship game coming up. Patrick Mahomes just sprained his ankle and he's got to be able to play. And I need you to get this plan together and get him to where he can get out on the field and play and win the Lamar Hunt Trophy. Can you do that for me? Right? I mean, that's just insane pressure for her, and she delivered. And so just kudos to that guy. He worked hard. He's a good dude. He, his teammates love him, and you could tell how much they loved him by how much they picked him up when he needed him to, because he wasn't quite Superman in that game, right? So,
Scott, I intentionally left this player out because I noticed your name tag. I haven't said too much because I want you to do all the praising around one of those weapons around Mahomes.
Yeah, we'll get to him here in a minute. What play or what stood out to you about watching Patrick Mahomes in that game, Bo?
Oh, what play, huh? Dude, just again, like I said, just him mixing it up to 10 different receivers, right? We were talking about the touchdown passes, how incredible they were. And if you look at those passes, both of them are not his first or second reads, right? Like he is just, that's what we're saying. If he is, I don't think it's unfair because that dude keeps raising the bar on himself, right? So like our expectations keep going here and he does something up here. So then like, all right, we better
Right.
raise our expectations. And then he does something even higher, right? So it's I don't think it's us with these. Like he just keeps doing this amazing stuff. But to have like MVS even said in his interview that his touchdown catch, he was the fourth read on that play. He wasn't even expecting the ball, right? He just looked back and he's like, oh, we're still playing, like as most Chief plays do on offense. And yeah, he just happened to be open. Patrick saw him, right? Just his overall awareness and his football brain is just so impressive that there's not one thing that he does that impresses me. It's every game he's doing something new that completely impresses me. Running on one ankle, to your point, you know what I mean? Just sure championship persona right there, man. He's so good.
I think Tyrann Mathieu called it championship swagger a couple seasons ago when
it's exactly
he
what
had
it
to run
is.
against the Tennessee Titans to get the lead there before half in the first AFC championship game that the Chiefs won. That was 2019 season, I believe. Yeah, that touchdown pass to MVS was a fastball bullet. If he doesn't have there's very few quarterbacks in the league, if any, can make that pass. That defender is a breath away from stopping that pass. Look how close the defender is to make.
That's a great photo.
He got that ball in there without a millisecond to spare, or else that is knocked away. And who knows how that game goes. What's amazing about him too is it's like he gets better in the big moments and in the playoffs. I don't know, Nick. I sent you a graphic. Did you have that First Things First had his playoff rankings all time?
I did not put that in the slideshow. No.
Yeah, you look at it and it's like, good job, by the way. No, that's like on
You
first
can, you can dock it from my pay.
Yeah,
right.
I'll make sure to dock it from your pay. But they showed it, and it's yards per game, and this is playoffs, stats, minimum 12 games or how many games he's started in the playoffs now. Yards per game first, touchdown passes per game first, quarterback rating first, touchdown to interception rating first. I mean, everything.
Right.
And Tony Romo was calling Josh Allen Mr. January a couple weeks ago.
Dude, he said the words "the champs." He said the words "the champs" in referring to Buffalo.
When they were struggling to beat the 7-seed Dolphins at home, he called him Mr. January. Patrick Mahomes is Mr. January, for those of you who haven't figured that out yet. The guy's just first in everything.
Trying to find that graphic.
They've been playing football for a long time in the NFL, and for this dude to just be first in everything is really just truly remarkable, and a credit to that guy. And just how good he is and how hard he works. Extremely lucky to have the guy. You can't talk about Patrick Mahomes without talking about Travis Kelce. Kelce, just, another back spasms, another ho-hum game, touchdown catch on fourth down. I thought Patrick was going to miss him on that play. I told Nick, I was like, damn, he's got Kelce open in the end zone, and it didn't look like he was looking that way in the last minute. He sees him. That's like a 4th and 3, and no problem. 20-something yard touchdown pass to Travis Kelce. You look, dude.
So I'm jealous of what you just said, right? Because that is such a cool thing about watching the game live versus TV. Because a TV thing, as soon as the ball's hiked, they just start zooming in on wherever the ball's at, right? And so Patrick Mahomes held the ball on that one, so they just start zooming in on him. You lose all sight of what's going on downfield, right? And so you just kind of, you think it's going to be like either a screen dump pass to McKinnon because they're all running that way. You're like, oh, great. And then you just see him stop and throw it, and you're like, well, who is he throwing to? And then you're just like, oh, in the end zone, there it is, touchdown, dude. Like, no clue that we even had a guy down there, right? So it was such a surprise watching that on TV.
Yeah, we talk about Patrick Mahomes being Mr. January. You look at the records that Kelce is setting. He passes Gronk for most receiving yards by a tight end in postseason history. Andy Reid kind of joked a few weeks ago. He says, I feel like after every game up here every week, I'm talking about another record that Travis is setting here. But
it's true, though.
You look at catches, yards now, and what was the third one? Where it's like Jerry Rice is 1, Travis is 2. Jerry Rice is 1. Travis is 2. Jerry Rice is 1.
Receptions and receiving yards, I think.
Yeah, Travis is 2. That guy, we're watching at a non-quarterback position, one of the top 2, 3 all-time playoff performers in NFL history, man. Bo, watching Travis, what'd you think about his game? Anything that stood out to you?
Old, reliable, man. Like that dude, it still baffles me that teams let him get open. And I feel like I'm complaining at this point, but I'm not. It's just like I'm just in sheer amazement that he gets so incredibly open on such crucial plays, 3rd and long, 4th and 3, right? Like, how do you not have 2 guys on that guy? I'll take it all day if they want to let that happen. But his ability, man, to just feel the flow of the game and immediately cut back against that flow to just get 5 to 10 more yards on every play is what stood out to me. His sense and feel for just where people are at on the field is unmatched compared to anybody else in that position, or like most receiver groups, right? Most catches that receivers make that he makes, they'll get taken down right away. He has the ability to stop, pivot, burn 2 guys, get another 6 yards in running, and then another 5-6 yards while 2 guys are trying to tackle him, man. So I saw that in this game. Just old, reliable TMFK. That's. What about you, Nick? What did you see out of that guy?
Just the grit to come and play that game. One of the national treasures this year has been the Kelsey Brothers podcast. If you haven't watched the one from today, as soon as this is over, you should go give it a view.
Right.
I kind of felt like he's just on the injury report. You know, he probably tweaked his back a little bit. He's like, no, it was a true game time decision. I woke up and I really even still couldn't quite stand up. And they alluded that maybe, you know, he got a shot to help him be able to play, but I mean, you get him back spasms and you can't even hardly stand up, and you're like, just give me a shot in the back so I can get out there with my guys, and then I'm going to go play, you know, this physical game and get, what would he have, 6 or 7 catches for 80 something yards? Just the grit and determination of him to not give up on his team and to help them win the game. He got one of the, without his touchdown on 4th down there, I mean, we turned the ball over, who knows what happens. So kudos to him. And that's really just, he is reliable. He's always there. He never gives up. One of the other things he said on his podcast before is that he's had, 10 surgeries. I mean, but he never misses a game. So, he's always playing hurt. He's always got something going on.
Yeah.
And he doesn't let it bother him. It doesn't impact his play, and it doesn't impact his personality and his demeanor on the field. He's still fired up. He's not out there moping around. He's not limping around. He's not sitting on the bench. He's a leader of the team. So we're super lucky to have that guy.
Yeah, and he's continuing to get open even when Juju's going out and Kadarius is going out. The teams are like, okay, I mean, you think they're that worried, or they're putting much attention on Marcus Kemp? And he's still getting open.
Right.
He's still making plays. Yeah, John C. He's the best ever. And there's, to me, at this point, there's no doubt that he's the greatest of all time. Like I said, just go back to those stats I was talking about. He's right there behind Jerry Rice for all of the major receiving statistics in playoff history. Playoffs, or when it matters most, is when it's win or go home, and when, advance or fail and your season's over, the guy steps it up. He's talked about too that he kind of deferred credit to, well, I've been on so many good teams, I've been able to play so many playoff games. You know why you've been able to play so many playoff games? A big part of that is you, dude. And I know he's being humble, but
yeah,
how many playoff games does this team have the last 10 years or whatever, however many years he's been in the league without that guy being on the team? Definitely not as many as we've had.
Oh, yeah, completely.
Right.
Just watching greatness right in front of you. And, he's 33 years old, fellas. It's not – he's closer to the end than the beginning.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I'm just trying not to take it for granted. Props to that guy. Love having him on the team. I think he's better than Tony Gonzalez. That's not any slight or disrespect to Tony Gonzalez. I know Tony, he'd probably never catch Tony for the yardage or the total catches necessarily. But Tony Gonzalez was on a lot of bad teams where he was the only option, and they were throwing the ball to him. I mean, he was the whole passing attack. Travis has been here when we've had other guys, when we've had Tyreek Hills, and when we've had Sammy Watkins, and when we had Jamal Charles in a running game, and we weren't a pass-heavy team with other quarterbacks that weren't as good as Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, I think he's better than Tony G. Nick?
Dude, but when that guy joined the team and it was him, you just pointed out him, Charles, and Tyreek were lining up, and you saw flashes of just like, oh,
yeah,
whoa, that's when and then Andy Reid comes in, you're just like, oh, okay, let's make something here. And like when you get a guy like that locks up that position in the way that he does, it lets you focus on other positions the way, or let Andy Reid focus on the other team, the other position groups, and let him beef up there because they knew they had a monster in that guy. So good.
Yeah. What do you guys think about John C? Is it better than Tony Gonzalez? Nick?
I try to be careful of recency bias, but statistically, when you look at it, he, like you said, except for the longevity record, which because Tony started playing so much younger than him, and Kelsey missed his first season due to an injury. I don't know how he'll catch him there, but I mean, you look at just the pure numbers that he's put up. I mean, he's got the most 1,000-yard seasons by a tight end by my multiple seasons now, and his playoff performances. And maybe it's just because I was younger and it was too many years ago, but I mean, how many games has Kelsey been the guy that made the play that won the game for us? Or been the guy that there was a reason we won the game. So, and I'm not saying, I know that there's some bad blood because of some comments that Tony made about Atlanta, and that made his career. And I'm not taking any of that into account. I mean, I don't know that. I mean, they're really close, but I would give the edge to Travis because he's helped this team reach heights that Tony Gonzalez never did. So new heights, if you will.
Yeah.
That recency bias is a bitch, though, because how many Super Bowls did Tony Gonzalez get?
Yeah.
Better's relative, though, right? Like Tony G's numbers are staggering, but he played for so long and had to Scott's point, he was the guy on the teams that he played for, right? There weren't too many other options to go to, where Travis Kelce was number 2 up until this year. He was always behind Tyreek, in my opinion. He was never the number 1 guy. Just solid and old reliable, man. That's why he's so good.
Yeah, John, you're right. Travis has said he doesn't ever want to play for a coach other than Andy Reid. I don't think you see this. He goes off and plays another year or two to end his career with another team. I think once he's ready to hang it up, he'll just be done, and that will be the end of his career in Kansas City. Doesn't show that that's anytime soon. I say he's closer to the end than the beginning, but that don't mean the story's almost over. The way the guy looked this year, you could say he had his best year this year. When you look at the yards and the touchdowns that the guy had, I want to say he had career high in touchdowns this year. Not necessarily a career high in yards. Did he set a record this year for yards?
I don't think so.
He set some sort of record.
No, he lost to himself. He's won.
Right. Something like that.
Yeah.
So, but he
didn't break his own record, I think.
Yeah, I've got a Kelsey jersey as well.
What a bum.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's no Travis Kelce.
Losing to yourself.
But yeah, just thank you, football gods, for putting Travis Kelce on our team. That's all I got to say. Another guy, Bo, you mentioned it here. Let's save him. Let's save him for the redemption guys here towards the end. Another guy that we've already talked about, but on the defensive side of the ball, Chris Jones, man. I said this a few weeks ago on one of the episodes. He's the Patrick Mahomes of the defense. The dude is, I believe, the defensive player of the year. I don't think he's going to win that award because Nick Bosa plays for the 49ers, and he's one of the Bosa brothers, and he had a couple more sacks. But when you look at a lot of these advanced metrics and next gen stats, I know PFF, we joke about some of their rankings or whatever, but you look at a lot of these advanced metrics, he had by far the best season overall of any defensive player in the league. After the game is over, you're seeing guys like Micah Parsons and some of these other elite defensive players around the league. They're saying, dude, Chris Jones is him. He's the man. That dude is unbelievable. The guy, he had been kind of, I don't want to say ridiculed, but a lot of it made about him not having sacks in the playoffs, which isn't necessarily fair because he's opening it up a lot for other guys. But the dude, I want to say he's had something where there's nobody that in AFC Championship game history had as many sacks, pressures, quarterback hits, and tackles as he had in that game. Watching Chris Jones play, Nick, what stood out to you?
Just what a monster he is. I mean, Cocaine Bears probably should be his nickname from now on. If it's not, I know that Skip Bayless isn't super popular with a lot of people.
Pretty good nickname.
Nailed it.
Stone Cold's good. Cocaine Bear could be a 1B option for nicknames. Because
which shirt are you gonna buy? Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I got kids, man. I probably just do Stone Cold. but he was just all over the field. He was the shot in the arm that we needed when it came down to it. Joe Burrow was not comfortable. He was making mistakes, throwing picks, throwing into the dirt, getting intentional grounding calls. So, and that was all led by him. And I think I saw the stat that on 31 of the 38 plays, he was doubled in that game.
Dang.
And he still had that level of production. Now, for whatever reason, on 3rd and 8 with the game on the line, they didn't double Chris Jones, which thank you for that.
Yep.
But
I think he kind of surprised him on that. He kind of lined up at the defensive end there.
I was going to say, because last year we were upset because he was lacking productivity on that end there, but they moved him to the end of the line and he got that sack to basically, win us the game. So
he talked about it in his post-game interview, right? He said that he noticed that they put a tight end out there instead of the guy he was normally going up against. So he looked over and switched. I can't remember who he switched with. He's like, "Hey, switch with me." And they're like, "All right." And he did that. And
thank you. So I don't know. What did you see, Bo, out of Chris Jones?
Dude, all your points, right? He's a monster. He got Burrow rattled and all that stuff, but he opened up the O-line so much that all of our other guys had a field day, dude. We saw Karlaftis get a sack. Nadi almost get one. We saw the Shark absolutely tear it up. That guy was running around having so much fun. It's so fun to watch that guy when he's flying. He just headhunts. And he was having so much fun. That's what I noticed the most. His ability to not only inspire the other guys on defense, but he affects the O-line so much. He gets those guys more involved. What about you, Scott? What did you see from him?
Yeah, just game wrecker, man. Like I said, he's the Mahomes of the defense. He's just a special player that nobody else in the league has right now. And when you can have the MVP quarterback on your offense, and you can have, in my opinion, again, I don't think he's going to win this award, but he should win it. The best defensive player, the defensive player of the year, the guy that can wreck the game from the inside of the line. There's a lot of really good edge rushers when you go around the league and guys that can rack up sacks playing on the edge. But when you can collapse the pocket, he had a play where he tackled Joe Mixon, 5-yard loss on a handoff? I mean, he almost
handed him the ball.
Yeah, but the guy after the game, you could tell how much it meant to him. He said, "I don't want to ever," and he's like, "I'm gonna look at the camera when I say this. Don't you ever disrespect Arrowhead Stadium." That's just a dude that has pride in his team and a guy that has pride in the city that he plays for and the stadium he plays for. He's a fan favorite. The guy you can tell genuinely loves Kansas City. I'm not going to try to take credit here, but I am going to say that since I picked up this Chris Jones jersey, Every game I wore it to, they won, and
That's it. That's the reason.
Passed up Aaron Donald as the best defensive player in the NFL.
Get you a game ball.
Give me a game ball, man. Chris, if you're watching, come sign my jersey for me. But yeah, just the dedication to his craft and just he would not be denied in that game.
No.
And we're going to the Super
No,
Bowl.
and he said that. He said that he missed the sacks last year, and he said I'm not going to get put in that position. And if you look on his Twitter, right after that game, he said, during the Super Bowl last year, he said we're going to be in this game next year, and he did it. So kudos to that dude, man.
He's done that about 4 times now. If you recall, they lost in the divisional round. I want to say, was that the year that we lost to the Titans and the Jaguars? I want to say played the Patriots in the AFC Championship game that year. He said, we will be in this game during the championship game. And then the next year they're in the championship game, but they lose to the Patriots at home on the overtime game where they didn't want to change the rules for us. The Super Bowl is the next week. He says, we will be in this game next year. They're in the Super Bowl the next year. The dude's he's a clairvoyant, man. He not only can he terrorize the quarterback and opposing offenses, he can also apparently predict the future. So,
is it just me, or does he have like a hint of a Mike Tyson lisp? Right, like he's super soft spoken, big wrecking ball of a dude, and just a little bit of a lisp. Right? Like. Yeah, that's probably the most fearful thing I've ever heard in my life is somebody that big with just a little bit of a lisp. It sounds so harmless, dude. Like that's right. It's the scariest sound in the world to me.
Yeah. Another guy who had a big game was, you mentioned just a second ago, Frank Clark, the Shark.
The Shark.
Playoff Frank is a thing. We used to talk about playoff Sammy. We got to talk about playoff Frank now. That sack where he freaking pulled down Burrow by the head. Like he grabbed him by the neck and like just picks him up and like throws him to the ground. He's in sole possession now, I believe, of second place for playoff sacks. Guy shows up when it matters. And John C., I believe it was, had a comment that was up here a little bit ago about the kind of the changes he made in his life and his habits and his health. Has paid off this year. He's been a resurgent guy. Making that contract look a lot more worth it now.
Yeah.
He brought an attitude to this defense since he got to Kansas City a few years ago. What do you guys want? Anything you want to say about Frank Clark, Nick?
His after an AFC Championship game win, interviews on the field are the best thing ever.
He's the motherfucking king of the playoffs.
Yep.
I tell them all, holla at me. Take that bum ass back to Cincinnati.
Yeah, that clip that was in the montage there at the beginning, he's getting a little animated when he's talking to James Palmer and he's giving his hands and he like hits a camera guy or somebody walking by his hand right mid-range. He's like, oh, my bad. But yeah, I told him he doesn't even miss a beat.
Did you guys see the clip? Did you see the clip of him with Andy Reid after the game?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, talking about going back.
I love you, coach. And he's like, "We got you another one, didn't we?" Like you could tell he really really loves Andy and wants to win for this team and for he wore a Derek Thomas jersey in the Super Bowl parade. Seems like a dude that gets it from a fan and a player perspective. So.
Yeah, no, he definitely gets it. In that video that you're talking about, Andy Reid went to him after last year and said, man, you weren't good enough. He goes, we need you to be better. If we're going to get back to where we want to be, we're dependent on you, man. You've got to be better. And instead of crying and pouting and being a baby about it and taking it the wrong way, he manned up. And he took it as you know what, you're right, coach. I need to be better. I got to figure some things out. And he did what needed to be done. The guy seemed like he really started turning it on in that 49ers game. He had the safety sack there on Jimmy G.
Yeah.
It seemed like ever since that game, maybe it's the health has gotten better. He's had the stomach issues, but he just seemed to kind of gradually start building back up and having bigger and bigger games. We saw it here going into the playoffs, and then now the playoffs are here. The dude is just, not quite Chris Jones level, but he's still a wrecking ball on that defense.
Playoffs are over, Scott. Playoffs are not here. They are over, sir.
Right.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, isn't that they consider that a postseason game?
Yeah, I don't think it's the playoffs though.
Right. That's true.
Championship game.
I was thinking about that earlier. The saying that the Super Bowl stats are playoffs seems weird because you win the championship and then you go play the Super Bowl, right? I don't know.
Yeah, right. So it's AFC, NFC playoffs, and I did notice that was pretty slick what you did there, Super Bowl. I got that. I see what you did there. Very nice.
Hey-o.
Anything you want to say about Frank Clark, Bo?
Oh, dude. Same thing. Like I kind of said it about Chris Jones. When Chris Jones is playing well, it opens up Clark, and when Clark's playing well, it opens up everybody else. Right? Chat's blowing up. Mike Dana and Carlos Dunlap. Those guys had themselves a game too, all because due to all the O-line's focusing on those two other monsters, right? And so it's just, it's just so fun to watch him play, dude. Like just like Mahomes, right? Like when you see somebody clicking and they're on fire, you can just see it, right? Like they can't miss, they can't do any wrong, and that's what he was doing this game. Just fun to watch that guy play.
Yeah, happy for Frank Clark. I need to get a Frank Clark jersey. That's probably gonna be the next jersey I add to the wardrobe. There's gonna be a sharp jersey. Yeah, it's kind of a good lead in here. There's some guys on this team that have some redemption that deserve some extra credit here.
For sure.
Start with my guy. You'll notice I've got down here, right in the little bio there, old Butterfingers. I've been pretty hard on number 11, old MVS this year, and rightfully so with a lot of the drops he's had. He struggled to get on the same page as Patrick, but that guy stepped up in the biggest game of the year when we absolutely needed it. You know, we talk about Patrick gutting it out and Chris Jones making game-winning plays. I don't think we win that game without that dude right there.
No.
6 catches, 116 yards, the big touchdown in the second half. To be able to not be expecting that pass and being the fourth read and catch that absolute fastball bullet, that ball looked like it got shot out of a cannon when it left Mahomes' hand. Caught it on his backside with the defender flying in front of him. Huge game, made it 20-13. Got the lead back for the Chiefs at that point. The Bengals were clawing back and tied the game. Were making it a little interesting there. Guys going down, Juju out, Kadarius out with injury. That guy stepped up. So, no one was harder on this show. And there's a lot of people on Twitter and Chiefs Kingdom. I'm not the one that was hard on the guy. But, yeah, man, props to that guy for stepping up. What stood out to you, or what did you notice about MVS in that game, Nick?
Yeah, I think it was like the back shoulder catch that he had, splitting the two defenders. He had the defender on him, and then I think the safety over the top or that was coming towards him. It was a hell of a throw, but a hell of a catch, and we've seen him make some drops. He had no drops that in the game, and then we were there, and the guys that were sitting in front of us, they're season ticket members. We know them. I sit with Scott quite a bit, but they've had tickets ever since I think Scott's had those seats in front of us. And they're like, number 11 is open on every play. And you watch, you're watching it. And and he was saying, Bo, I think he said he's like the fourth read,
Yeah.
But he was just torching their secondary. That's really what stood out to me, was the no drops and just always open.
Yeah. Bo, MVS, I know you've been a little less harsh on him than I have, but you've been a little critical of the guy too.
Oh yeah, man.
He's balled out, man.
To say he hasn't dropped some very clutch passes this season would be completely wrong, right? To clarify, Sky hasn't been harsh on MVS on the podcast so much as he has so much in our personal chat thread, where those drop passes and those crucial moments, they meant a lot to Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty hard on him on this show. I got no problem.
Right. But no, I mean, it was somewhat warranted, right? Like, I mean, like it was noticeable. He was dropping passes, but like his speed was there, and it was just kind of like when he's just going to get connected with Mahomes. But to your point, man, I think what stood out the most to me about MVS was on that touchdown pass. I don't think he caught it and sat down. I think that's how hard Patrick Mahomes threw that ball, as it put him on his ass, right?
Yeah.
But no, he was the guys that you were sitting behind nailed it, right? He was open all day, and MVS even said that in his post-game interview. This is what he had to say.
You get the big penalty on Eli Apple. That's the hold. That's an automatic first down. What about that play?
Yeah, I was just whooping him all game, and that was just another play where he couldn't cover me well enough, and got the flag, and we moved it up.
So not only was he right, he whooped Eli Apple all day, but he was also crucial on that holding penalty that extended our drive, put points on the board for us. But
yeah, he was smoking that Eli Apple pack all game. One of the biggest talkers on the Bengals, on a team of talkers. That's saying something if you're the biggest shit talker. But yeah, props to that guy. He earned every penny the Chiefs paid him this year by his performance in that game to get us back to the Super Bowl. So props to you, sir, and a lighthearted apology from Scott on CKL.
Until the next time you drop the ball.
Right. Another guy, Sky Moore, much maligned earlier in the year, a guy that kind of struggled to really make an impact on the team this season. He didn't score a touchdown. I think he had like 250 yards receiving on the year. Got kicked off of punt return duties about a quarter of the way through the season after it was really kind of a circus back there with that guy. He'd never done it before. He was kind of thrust into a position that he was unfamiliar with and that might not have been ready for. So don't know how much of that is his fault is really as opposed to the coaching staff's fault.
Right.
But you're without Justin. Kadarius Toney is hurt, who took over punt return duties when he came over in the trade from the Giants. He had done that in college and is a decent returner. Justin Watson had taken over some of those duties once they were taken away from Sky Moore. He was out with illness. Hey, kid, I know you lost this job and got kicked off a punt return duty earlier in the season because of the issues you've had, but it's the AFC Championship game. We need you out there and start returning punts again. Get out there.
Good luck.
That dude. Another player that had one of the biggest plays in the game, the punt return after the Chris Jones sack on third down at the end of the game, gave us a chance with what little time was left, and we only had one timeout at that point. The guy gave us a chance to get into field goal range. Made a big play. He's a rookie. To be able to have the confidence in yourself and to be able to go out there. He even said it himself in the postgame. He was like, I didn't know if I was going to catch it or not when I was out there. That guy, he had to be standing back there. The nerves, were the heart was going.
Yeah.
The adrenaline
Dude, in that game
pumping.
too, god damn.
Yeah, this is all the biggest game of the season. The stakes hadn't been any higher than they had been all season, and the guy delivered, man. Clutch plays by that guy. He was out there making some catches too when guys went down. Props to Sky Moore. Do we think maybe this relay turns into something that he can build on for next season? Maybe. I don't know that you'll see him back out there on punt return duty next year, but what did you think about Sky Moore and the performance he had? And maybe that's a sign of things to come, Bo?
Dude, with Sky Moore, again, like I said at the top of the hour, I was so nervous when I saw him back there. But to quote Dumb and Dumber, totally redeemed himself with that punt return, man, right? Like, I feel like what he did do with that return was solidify a spot for next year, in the sense that the coaches aren't going to look at him and question him. They're going to be more like, yeah, he's solid. He's good to go. I was thinking about it, though, as far as like him not progressing as fast as we all kind of wanted him to on this team. I couldn't imagine being a rookie. And say what you will about our receiving squad. You're competing against, well, Travis Kelce. I know he's not a receiver, but like he's primary reception. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman, right? You're going against those guys as a rookie to earn a bench spot. You know what I mean? Like, so I've actually been impressed with what he's been able to do all year when he's in there and he's making plays. He's had couple of catches this year that were just absolute playmakers. I think we're going to see really bright things of him in the future. I'm curious to see how much they implement him in the Super Bowl, though. I don't know if his success in this last game is going to immediately translate to him returning punts in the Super Bowl or not. I personally hope not, even though he did fine this last game, but I still just have that fear, just like, please don't put him back there. But who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure if Tony, I haven't seen what the injury is on Tony. The Chiefs put out kind of a weird, like,
they said ankle, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, but they put out a weird, like, estimated practice report today. Like,
Yeah,
so
there
wasn't no real practice or anything, but they put out this thing that say, like, if there was a practice, this guy would have been limited, these guys would have been limited, these guys would have been,
Who put that out? The Chiefs did?
Yeah, and so Tony would not have practiced today if there was a practice. It was a weird deal. So,
oh yeah,
you got to think at least Kadarius Toney would be back, and if not, Justin Watson, whatever illness he's got going on, he should be back here in a couple of weeks by the time the Super Bowl with the extra week off. So, Nick Sky Moore, you want to give that guy some credit and maybe think
mad props. Like I said, when I was going through and making the slideshow, you just realized how many people stepped up in crucial moments in this game. No moment was less crucial than that punt return that got us in really good field position with not a lot of time left and not as many timeouts as we would have liked.
Yeah.
So just a hell of a way to redeem yourself. Special teams, Dave Tobe, the entire special teams unit. But yeah, Sky Moore he had to come in and he had to make some impact in the game, and he was able to do that. And like you said, to step back there and nut it up and catch the ball and then do what we needed him to do, plus some, really, right, was incredible. So kudos to him.
Yeah. Last but not least, Harrison Butker, buttkicker.com. He had the misses and had issues, and we know he got injured week 1 in Arizona on the fluky kind of thing there. Don't know how much that played into his off year, but dude nailed it. It was money. He's been money in the playoffs. He's been perfect, has yet to miss an extra point or a field goal attempt in the postseason. Wow. That wasn't a chip that wasn't a 55-yarder to win the game, but that wasn't a chip shot either. That was about a 45-yard field goal? 45-yard field goal. Kind of the same thing as Sky Moore. The misses had to have been in the back of his mind, and now it's, hey, go out there and kick this field goal to send us to the Super Bowl, man. Dude nailed it. It was a high kind of floating kick that from where my seats are at looked like it was going wide. I couldn't really quite tell if he was going to make it, if he made it or not. It almost felt like, like when you see in the movies, you get to the climax of and it's like in slow motion. That's kind of what it felt like. It seemed like it took forever for the ball to get from his foot to the uprights. But when you watch the replay on TV, it was good all the way. No doubt.
Is he kicking it at you or away from you guys?
Away from our side of the
field.
Away from us. So,
okay.
Yeah. Yep.
It looked like he sacrificed distance for height because I think he wanted to just triple make sure that it didn't get blocked.
I don't know, man. To me, the trajectory it had, it reminded me of like a golf swing when I'm just trying to pound it as hard as I can. and I get under it too much and I shoot it and it just pops straight up in the air.
Yeah,
Should
maybe.
call it a moon ball. Like that's what I felt like it looked like.
It also
I was
looked,
going to
I don't
ask
know.
you guys from your seats, like I was worried about distance on TV. I mean, like it went through, they just show the refs. They don't show like how far
It did look
made
it did look like a shorter kick, right?
Yeah,
Out
that's
of the
what I was
gates.
worried about.
It also looked like he didn't take like the full approach to it. I don't know if maybe that was just me, you know, not seeing it properly, but it looked like he took one of those shorter approaches. So I figured that once it went through that he had kicked it a little bit shorter to kick it higher to make sure it didn't get blocked, but I don't know. I mean,
well, we all know he doesn't need a full 3 steps to make a field goal. We saw him do that one step 55-yard kick week 3 or 4 or whatever it was.
I mean, guys, it was I can't state enough how bitterly cold it was. It was so cold. We were walking in and Scott and I were like, I can't feel my face. Like literally I couldn't even really talk. And that's just from walking to the car, you know, to the stadium.
But one thing we're kind of glossing over is he went 3 for 3 in field goals that game, right? Like on a season where like we mentioned, he was hurt, but struggling even late in the season, week 10 and 11, just to make those field goals, 38, 40-yard field goals, right? And I think he had momentum on his side, but I don't know if that position, if you ever truly have momentum with you, right? Like you do it once and you sit on the sideline for 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah. Outstanding performance. Guys turned it around here in the playoffs.
I like this. He would have made a 62-yard needed to be.
Right? Yeah, I mean that's what all these guys dream of, right? Especially when you're the kicker, you think about, you know, watching Adam Vinatieri, probably he's a younger guy, watching those guys make big kicks to go to Super Bowls and win Super Bowls. We're going to need them in this Super Bowl coming up, which we're going to break down. We're going to do our Super Bowl 57 preview show next week. We're just basking in the glory of this win. I kind of feel like the rookie.
Sorry, stretching. Sorry.
I know I said last but not least, the redemption guys. We kind of went over the guys that had struggled this season and then stepped up and made it and got it done when it counted most. I feel like we need to talk about the rookies on this team. George Karlaftis, Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams. Both those guys, Williams and Watson, both had interceptions. Watson's 2 for 2 playoff career, 2 playoff games played, 2 interceptions, had the sick interception one-handed grab against the Jaguars that really helped the Chiefs win that game. There he is there. He jumped an underthrown pass by Burrow to intercept that ball right there. The rookies, Karlaftis gets a sack. McDuffie kind of dropped an interception early in the game, but
I know, so close.
I'm trying to remember what part of the game it was, but he had a tip there that
he had a pass deflect
that put them. It was like a 2nd and 18 or 2nd and 19. He gets in there, deflects a pass that makes it a 3rd and 18. They ended up punting on that, so he kind of helped shut down a drive there, made a big play. The rookies, I had talked about all year on this show. My biggest concern on the Chiefs was the rookie secondary, and they showed up. And look, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, now Tyler Boyd was injured, so they didn't have him to really deal with. But Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, that's one of the premier pass-catching duos.
Elite,
wide receiver position in the AFC and in the whole NFL. Those guys, man, hats off to them. Great performance. Karlaftis, like I said, he's got 8 sacks on the season now, and he's had a sack in almost every game. I think he's got like 7 of those in the last 8 games.
Just on a tear, dude.
Championship game. Which one of those guys to you kind of is standing out the most of the rookies, Bo?
It's a toss-up for me between McDuffie and Karlaftis, right? Like McDuffie does something every week that I'm just like, oh, right. Yes, thank you, right? Yeah. And then Karlaftis has just been like this monster for the past 7 games, as you were alluding to, though. So it's just like, I don't know which one I like better. I think I like the pass defense sharpening up a little bit more than our pass rush, right? Like, 'cause I feel like we have a lot of players that can do the pass rush, and we said it all season. that's kind of our weakest link back there, was the young guys back there, and watching him step up from not only just being a great coverage guy, but to also just being a great blitzer and rusher too, man. Like, he's conforming so well to his role. But then again, it's just like I'm 50-50 with Karlaftis, because at the beginning of the season, I remember all of us saying he's just right there to just being great, right? And I feel like we got to witness him go over that step, and we're watching him become great. So those two guys for me, for sure. I mean, they're kind of the cream of the crop of the rookies, but
First rounders.
Yeah, right.
Blue bloods.
No, I think there's nothing wrong with that. You get picked in the first round.
They're
there's pressure
performing,
to
right?
perform,
They're
man.
stepping up. Not all first rounders do that. So
No, that's no guarantee. Just because you get picked in the first round, you're gonna be good. There's extra pressure to perform when you're a first round pick and you've got that pedigree. Just ask CEH. Nick,
right?
Who of the rookies is kind of standing out to you? You want to?
I'm gonna pick the entire secondary just because Snead goes out with a concussion.
Yeah.
He is,
Forgot
by
about
a
him.
lot of people's opinions, one of the top 5 people at his position in the league. You're going up against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, right? T. Higgins, and they got a couple of times, but even then they didn't get got because they got beat. They got because they didn't get their head around on the ball, right? That fourth down,
Right.
that touchdown to T. Higgins, where he high pointed the ball, sick catch on by Chase and Higgins there, but they tried that a third time and it turned into a tip ball that was intercepted, right?
Yeah.
So I think that you're going to see
Brian
these
Cook, right?
Huh?
Yeah.
Brian
Cook,
Cook, the safety, tipped it, and then it was Williams with the interception.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think you're going to see these guys aren't going to make these types of mistakes next year, right? They're in position. They're running with these guys. They're not too slow. They're not too small. They're not, getting fooled. It wasn't wide open. Like when we were watching the Bills play the Dolphins, I was like, how does Diggs just keep getting behind the entire defense? It's just a head scratcher to me that happens. And I just feel like that secondary stepping up with your only like veteran guy going out was huge. So kudos to them, man. That was a standout performance.
Yeah.
And Veach, let's just give credit to Veach for this group of young guys that he's brought in.
Yeah, they let Charvarius Ward walk, one of the top man coverage corners in the NFL. He had a little bit of a rough postseason playoffs there with San Francisco, but they let him go. They replaced him with, late round guys. We're talking about 6th, 7th round picks here, and guys in the secondary going up against Jamar Chase in the AFC Championship game and holding their own. None of those guys had. I think they held them both to under 80 yards. I think maybe Chase got right there at 80 yards, but
yeah, I think you're right.
Kept Chase out of the end zone. Outstanding job by those guys. It's hard. A lot of people say, "Oh, they're not rookies anymore," right? Because they played a whole season, but they'll play one more game and then they won't be a rookie anymore. But a lot of growth from that position, playing under pressure, coming in. The Tyreek Hill trade. We saw those guys, the picks that they were able to acquire and maneuver around with to get these rookies. These aren't just guys that were on the field. These were guys that were in clutch situations, pressure situations that were instrumental in getting the Chiefs to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and
outstanding, man.
Key players, right?
Right. So hats off to those guys. They deserve a lot of credit for doing what they did this season. The aftermath has been hilarious about this game. There's people wanting rule changes. Chiefs won another playoff game. We got to change some rules. There was this
do-over.
lady,
do-over.
Right. There's a petition going around to replay this game because the referees gave it to the Chiefs, even though, like I said, they took a touchdown away from us and they took an interception away from us. That pass interference they called on Brian Cook, it was a bang play, man. If he got there early, it was by a split second early. They gave them a first down. So
was that the one that we where we intercepted it and they called it back? Is that what you're talking about?
Right. Yeah. Cook got there and hit him from behind, comes running in, and the ball got picked. So, it's just so funny. How do you talk that much trash all week and then cry about the referees after the game, man? You guys saw the lady that was, I want to say that, what is that show, Around the Horns on ESPN, saying, we need to start evaluating these personal foul penalties. There's no way that should be a 15-yard penalty for hitting Mahomes late out of bounds. He was only, what did they say, 15% out of bounds or something.
First of all, where did she get that fucking number? He's 15% out of bounds. What?
Dude, melting down the national media and Who Dey or Rule the Jungle or whatever you want to call the Bengals fans. Just absolute insanity. People are in full, absolute, like I said, meltdown mode over this. The guy shoved the guy he shoved him out of bounds, clearly.
Name me a quarterback where they don't call that roughing the power, what is it? Unnecessary roughness. Right? Name me a play where that's happened where they don't call that flag. I haven't seen it where a quarterback's out of bounds and gets pushed. Yeah.
Both feet are out of bounds. I mean, and here's the other thing. Everybody on the Bengals sideline knew it right away. When you saw guys putting their heads in their hands.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You saw guys. The other defender who's right there, I want to say it was Hilton, who was, see y'all at Burrowhead, one of the biggest shit talkers who got smoked in that game. I want to say he got targeted 7 times and gave up like 6 or 7 catches for 70-something yards and a touchdown.
Whoops.
He stops. He sees Mahomes is out of bounds. He puts his hands up when the guy shoves him from behind. The coach turns around in disgust. They all knew the flag was coming. And I'm going to tell you, that crowd erupted. Once we saw him get hit late and you saw that yellow flag flying, it was at that moment, Nick, you talked about in the montage there, I think it was like last week when we were talking, it was like, that's the moment when you realize you're going to win the playoff game. I was like, that's field goal range, baby. Thank you very much.
The most ironic part about that lady, though, talking about fairness and like the penalty not being, it shouldn't be that much, right? The reason they implement that rule is for player safety, which is like a huge emphasis. And their own player got hurt on that play, right? So that's kind of why you're not supposed to do that. You're going to hurt the quarterback and or yourself. And he hurt himself.
Or people on the sideline.
Smoked himself. You guys watched that replay? He rolled his ankle and hyperextends his knee.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it just looks so brutal. Oh, man.
Yeah, it was just, what's your guys' reaction to the media reaction in Who Dey about losing the game and whining about refs? And of course, we got to have another rule change because the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, Nick.
I mean, payback's a bitch. That's
right.
Really it. You wanted to talk a lot of shit, and then you lost. And now you got some kind of Mahomes derangement syndrome where you want to try to sit there and go to the, sound like a flat earther talking about how the NFL is rigged and, well, it's rigged, but the Bengals, how did the Bengals win last year if it was rigged? Was it rigged for the Bengals, or were the Bengals, are they like, are you going full QAnon where it's like the Bengals are fighting the good fight against the rigged NFL and they almost beat it last year. It's just, you just lost. You lost. You know why you lost? You lost because you had the ball with 2 minutes left in the freaking game. And instead of going down and getting in field goal range and kicking a field goal with no time left to win, you got sacked on 3rd down and you had to punt it. That was your opportunity to win the game. The drive before that, you had an opportunity. You threw a pick. I don't want to hear shit about the refs. All right. There have been bad calls in all of these games that have gone against both teams. We've been upset about it. It's easy to fall into that trap. But at the end of the day, you had the ball with the opportunity to go win, and you guys didn't do it. And then you made the dumbest play of the game, pushing our quarterback out of bounds, which made it easier for us. But you can't sit there and say, oh, well, that won you the game. There's still 8 seconds left, genius. What did Patrick Mahomes do last year with 13 seconds against the Bills?
Yeah.
You think he's not going to get 5 yards and Butker's not going to hit a 55-yard field goal? Give me a break. Take your crying ass home and reevaluate your life.
Yeah. Bo?
Yeah. When I woke up Monday morning and I opened Twitter and I see what's trending is NFL is rigged, and it's not even like the For You or anything. This is like the actual Twitter trending is saying NFL rigged. It just made me smile. Like I know officiating has been atrocious this year. We've complained about it, but we don't sit there and go like, we need to redo this game. We need to have a petition to get so and so out of the. It's just ridiculous. It's bonkers how these guys are reacting. It's so great, right, for somebody to be so loud after they've lost. Like they were so loud before, and now they're even louder after they've lost. That it's just great. Just sit back and I'm just it's like music to my ears. Just like, oh, let's hear the next one. Oh, you don't think unnecessary roughness should be 15 yards? Let's hear why. Explain to me about pass interference, why those are 50, 60-yard penalties then. Let's talk about fairness. Like, oh, it's just great. I love it. I mean, we're on the winning side. You get to soak in it. Just listen to all these crybabies whine and complain. But the fact that they're trying to change some rules right now just kind of bothers me. Like, okay, whatever. We'll roll with it. We'll beat you by your rules, whichever rules you come up with every year. We'll beat you by those rules.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna change the rule for personal fouls or unnecessary roughness to, oh well, if you're X amount of percent out of bounds, it's only a 10-yard, or if you shove the guy. There's people saying Mahomes flopped. Dude, he's got a bad ankle. He's trying to come to a stop. He's running full speed, trying to get to the first down marker. When you're running that fast and you got a bad ankle and it's not like he can just stop on a dime like he normally would. His ankle's taped up. I mean, it's half broken, a high ankle.
It's snowing and slippery out.
You just be able to stop on a dime and flop. The guy shoved him from behind. He's running as fast as he can, and he's trying to come to a stop on the sideline. The idea that was some sort of flop or Patrick sold it is just absolutely ridiculous. There wasn't one player on the sideline on the Bengals that was upset with the referee throwing the flag, that went and got in his face and put the arms in the air like they always do, like they were surprised it was a penalty. It was an obvious penalty. I put on the Chiefs Kingdom Live Twitter, I said, keep crying, man. You're just making it all that much sweeter after all the shit you were talking. It was just, oh, man. Yeah, it was so great. It's, Chiefs, Mitch Holtz is perfect. And there's just, you can doubt the Chiefs, you can dislike the Chiefs, you can disrespect the Chiefs, but you're gonna have to deal with the Chiefs. That just puts it so succinctly. Mitch Holtz is one of the absolute best at his job in the NFL and calling games. I wish they would just play his voice over the loudspeakers.
I did the iHeartRadio thing to listen to him broadcast the game, and I'm already 10 seconds behind, but he's 20 seconds behind me, so it's just like I can't do this. I gotta get as close to real time as possible.
Can we start calling the Bengals fans that are saying the game was rigged? Can we start calling them Hooanon?
Hooanon, yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Hooanon, that's pretty good.
Trending on Twitter.
Yeah, nice job. Yeah, there's some people who are putting out there. Boo Hoo Day was going around on Twitter there, all crying. That was going on. Bengals fans. They're down bad. Even Broncos fans were taking the loss hard, man. There's a lot of Broncos fans on there crying as much as the Bengals fans did. Good God, talk about being pathetic. I mean, I understand you haven't beat us in a half a decade, but, bro, deal with it. You're not even in the game. You're irrelevant. Right. Why are you so upset about the Bengals winning the game? So
I'm sick of losing to the Chiefs.
Exactly. 13 straight, I would be too. So, or 15 straight now, right? It's 15. It was 13 to start the year. 15 now. 15 straight losses to the Chiefs. John C's right. Players were arguing in the tunnel and the way into the visiting locker room after the game was over. Why you even put your hands on the quarterback, man? One thing I thought was kind of surprising, who's been really quiet here too, has been Bills Mafia. You haven't heard anything out of them this whole week.
Right.
Man, how frustrating is that got to be to those guys? I just after beating the Bills in the AFC Championship game a couple of years ago, and then the 13-second, the Grim Reaper beating you at the end of the divisional round last year, and then you think this is your year, and then you don't even get to the championship game. You lose to the Bengals at home, and then the Chiefs take care of the Bengals the following week to go back to the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes has been to 3 Super Bowls. Your guy, Josh Allen's been to 0. Man, it's just winning this game is so sweet. I put the Chiefs Kingdom Live. Tony, I'm sorry you had to be here to hear that, man. Tony,
no, that's his old comment. I put that up just to remind him. If he's still here, though, good.
No, I've been having internet issues here, and so when I logged back in, we were trying to get going. I'm like a guest in the show right now, so I can't see the comments or the chats off to the side like I normally do. So I'm kind of flying half blind here, but
I'm getting on Tony's level that he was at last night. I'm ready to start talking some shit to him. Ends his show. Hey, I'll end it with this.
What are you thinking?
Fuck Bo, fuck Scott, fuck Nick, and fuck the Chiefs. Fuck the Eagles, and then their stream just kills.
Right. We need to get Tony doing the chop. We need to get Tony doing the chop. Is that your Arizona Chiefs Kingdom sticker on that mug there, Bo?
That it is.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was good, man. I've been trying to figure out something
my
to do with
Hachi out
mine.
there in AZ.
Yeah, we'll give Pub Rock a shout out here next week when we do our preview show. But a sweet win. I did this week's CKL poll. Chiefs have won 3 AFC championships in the last 5 seasons. I kind of wanted to feel where Chiefs Kingdom was at as far as where this game would rank as opposed to the others. I expected this win to win out in the poll, but I really expected it to be closer than the other 2. I mean, we talked about recency bias with some things we were talking about earlier, but Nick, I don't know where Bo went. He disappeared on us there. I'm sure he's still there, but I'd be interested to know what the chat. I'd be interested to know what the chat has to say here. Weigh in if you're watching. Send us a comment. Which AFC championship game was the sweetest to you? Let's just go top to bottom here, Nick.
Well, first of all, how cool is it that we have enough of these that we can have a poll about it now? That's fucking sick. I went Titans because that was the first Super Bowl berth of my lifetime. Scott, you and I were there at that game. We saw it happen. We saw the trophy presentation. We saw this last one too, but that was special, man. That was the first Lamar Hunt trophy win for this organization. So that's always going to be my favorite one.
It had the run or the scramble, whatever you want to call that play by Mahomes.
Whoa.
It had the bomb.
So nasty.
Had the bomb to Sammy Watkins that basically put the game away.
Weren't we down like 24-0, wasn't that? Or that was
the Texans game, but we
were down by 10 that game, right?
Twice. Yeah, we were down 10 twice in that game. So that game had the comeback feel to it. Yeah, that's a good pick. Bo, which one of these 3 are you voting for?
Oh, dude. I loved Sundays so much. Just having to deal with Bengals fans that I know talk shit to me about last year and all that stuff. I really enjoyed this victory, but I voted the Titans just because I can remember that day so vividly when we won. All 3 of us immediately FaceTimed each other, and like we got on and we didn't even say anything. We just started yelling like, "Ah!" Everybody's camera was shaking. But dude, that Bills one too is funny. That infamous photo of Diggs sitting there looking at all the red and yellow confetti, right? I voted for the Titans though. It's the first one of my life. I mean, there was just so much build up to that will forever be cemented in my memory. But God, this one was so great this weekend too, though. What about you, Scott?
Yeah, Laney, you got to pick one. It's a poll. You got to pick one. So, man, I've gone back and forth. I've gone back and forth on these so much. I still have a hard time picking one, man.
You got to pick one. It's a poll.
I know. I mean, I'm gonna pick one. I'm not gonna say all of them, but it's tough for me, man. I'm going. What's that, Bo?
I was gonna say, does this last one, does this go down as the one-legged game? Like we're gonna have the first championship, right? The Bills, and then the one-legged game.
The ankle game, maybe.
Ankle game.
Right. Yeah, I'm going the Bengals game right in the moment, man. That's getting my vote right now. I know there's a little recency bias there, but I wanted to win this game bad, man. I wanted to win this game bad. Just because when you factor in losing to this team last year and the way they did it and the way they talked and just the way they doubted Patrick all year. You know, that year the Titans season was a little bit, the Chiefs, they were only, 10-6? They were the 2 seed that year.
Yeah.
They got to host a championship game because the 1 seed got knocked out that year. Who was the 1 seed that year? It's Patriots. It's the Patriots, right?
You're talking about the Ravens, right?
Ravens? No.
The Titans knocked somebody out, was the 1 seed because they were the 6 that year. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm voting Bengals right now. I'm going to jump on the bandwagon here. I went to the Bengals game. I kind of wanted to pick the Bills game too, but I didn't go to that game. I watched on TV because I had a COVID thing going on and couldn't make it to the game. So I'll join the new money fans here in the bandwagoners and pick the Bengals game to beat Joe Burrow after all the Burrowhead talk and losing to him last year and the season too, right, that we had this year. Just to culminate in that win after getting rid of Tyreek Hill and all the turnover. And I really thought I thought the Tyreek Hill thing was a big deal. I thought, it was like Patrick and Travis and Tyreek were the things that were separating us from the rest of the AFC. And they get rid of Tyreek Hill, and they're right back here in the Super Bowl. So thanks to everyone that voted. It looks like John C's on board here with me this game here.
Hey, shout out real quick to Chiefs Kingdom for voting on that. I know my camera stopped, but 190 votes. Thank you guys for participating in that. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, we're getting up there, so we're getting close. We're getting closer to 2,500 followers. We're starting to get a lot more active followers to people.
We're like four subscribers away from 300 on YouTube.
Yeah.
So,
yep. So if you're not subscribed, click that subscribe now. We'd appreciate it.
If you are subscribed, just create another account and subscribe with that one.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And the accounts are free on YouTube. All it takes is an email address. So, yeah, Hill who?
I've got about 294 accounts right now, so they're free.
Right. Look, I hadn't gone here, and it's been a little bit tired, but since it came up, where are you guys at with the what do you think Tyreek Hill is thinking after that game? Do you think he watched the game?
How long does it take to buy a gun in Florida? That's what he's probably thinking.
How long did he? Okay, did he watch the game? And B, do you think there's any regret? What do you think his thoughts were after the game, Bo?
There's a meme that sums it up perfectly. It's him dressed up as Wolverine, looking at a picture. In the comic, it's Wolverine looking at Jean Grey, but the picture is Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce just hugging each other, and he's crying. Right? That meme sums it up. A picture's worth 1,000 words. It's that meme. Like, talk about a boneheaded decision. We said it at the beginning of the year. It just seemed like a lose-lose. He's the greatest receiver. You're already with the greatest quarterback. You're under another year contract anyway. Like, it just didn't make sense to me to money chase, but I guarantee you he watched the game, and I bet you he just has so much regret. It's not even funny.
Nick?
I think he's probably watching. He's probably happy for his friends on the team, but I think he's kind of the dude that he's like, I won my ring and now I'm going to go get the money. So he probably has some remorse, but I don't think he's sitting there probably super depressed. And if he is super depressed, he goes and cries about it on, $10 million sheets.
Right.
So,
Right.
but yeah, I don't know. It's
He just ruined my fantasy. No, he's crying on his silk sheets right now, Nick.
right. He's like, I'm gonna have to take another extra trip to, the Caribbean this year to feel better.
Yeah.
Cancun
Sorry,
on three.
I got like a spider. Something's working his way over here.
I hope it falls on your head.
Getting
Dude, we
closer and
would
closer
get like
here.
so many more subscribers if you had a spider fall on your face during the stream.
Go back to the
that'd be
replay, see if he yells or not.
Yeah. No, he definitely watched the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think the money was what he was concerned with, and he got his money. So I don't know how much regret there is. I'm sure he's happy. You've seen it a couple times this season when the Chiefs won a big game or Patrick made a big play. He'd be like, "Man, what a throw, 15," and he kind of put that out there. And he balled out this year in Miami. Dude had a great year. He was on pace to set a receiving yards record to break the record. He ended up getting passed up for the receiving title by Justin Jefferson this year. But he's gone. And could this be like soccer? Could we like borrow where they do the loan thing, like they loan their player to
It's
another
just like
club?
6 games.
Can we get him back to the Super Bowl? I'd really like to have him back there for the Super Bowl coming up. That's going to be a good game. And like I said, we're going to do our Super Bowl 57 preview show next Wednesday. Got our fan hate NFLs in here. Bills fan, but I'm glad Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's man, for Bills fan, there was the video going around of the guy the Bills fan, it was like a TikTok or something where he was like, I never thought I would say this, but he's like, I hope Patrick Mahomes. He's like, I can't believe I'm saying this. He's like, I hope Patrick Mahomes kicks the shit out of the Bengals because I can't stand Eli Apple and the Bengals and all the smack talk, and they lose to the Bengals last week in the divisional round at home. Yeah, that's tough, but going back to Super Bowl, baby. Anything we missed? Anything you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, I got a couple of memes. I got a couple of memes in here if we want to look at some memes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we do.
We got the memes of the week, but there's 3 this week because this is a special week. So this is an old but super relevant.
I saw you throw these in the drive, and I
fans, right?
intentionally
Look at him.
didn't
Look at Patrick Mahomes. So this was number 3. Number 2 on the list is why are female Bengals fans so cool to date? Because they aren't expecting a ring in their future. I love that one. And then this is by far the best one I've seen. And it's the Will Smith slap. And it's keep our stadium name out your fucking mouth. So that's the meme of the week right there. Kudos to whoever made that. I didn't see who made it, but hell yeah.
Yeah, would like to give credit to whoever made them, but those things just get passed around the internet so quickly and so fast. It's hard to find out who came up with what, but no, he definitely. I wonder how much that injury played into him kind of struggling down the stretch and the turnovers. He didn't look like the same dude. So
the Bills gotta get some other stuff going on around him, right? They're just relying on him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they can do next year. I don't know what that loss does to the Bengals. The loss to the Bengals does to the Bills. And we've seen teams kind of like, I don't know, I won't say their window's closed, but they lost, we beat them in the championship game, and then the 13-second last year they were really, really, really good and playing well, and Allen was on fire. Wonder if maybe that was the shot, but that's got to be tough too. But we appreciate you watching, man. It's all in good fun.
Yeah.
We're not trying to dunk on you here on Bills Mafia and Bills fans. They're long-suffering fan base like we are. Until we got Patrick Mahomes, man, we had one AFC championship appearance in 50 years, and it was against the Bills, and they smacked us down and knocked out Joe Montana. So, we know the pain. We feel the pain there with you. So,
there's a couple other questions in here. Yeah, that I'm trying to find. It was Tom. Here we go.
Okay.
Tom was asking earlier, guys, do you think our wide receivers will be healthy for the Super Bowl? My biggest concern is how fragile our wide receivers are.
Valid concern.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. I'd kind of maybe wait until next week to answer that one and see once they start practicing, see who's available.
Right.
I don't know. They were all jumping around, hooting and hollering. We're on the sidelines for this post-game celebration. Juju and Kadarius were. McCole, it said he would have been limited, and that estimated injury report or practice.
So weird that they would do that.
Yeah, so I don't know what the deal with that is. I mean, it was from the team. It was from the official Chiefs
Right,
Twitter account. Is what
right.
I thought. So it's a real deal. But I'm not too concerned about it right now. But give me some time. The closer we get, the more concerned I may be though. Nick?
Yeah, it's a hell of a concern, right? We're going up against the number one pass defense in the league, and we're decimated at our receiving core. So it's a concern. But the good news is that they're like 22nd on rush defense. So if we can get a good game plan together with Isaiah Pacheco, and we can really, and Jerick McKinnon, and get those guys churning on the ground, that'll probably open some things up. Yeah. And I think the Eagles' competition this year has not been as great, right? Like the Cowboys, I think, dropped 40 on them. So they can be had, but it's definitely a concern.
Lions almost beat them.
One of the things that we're going to do the Super Bowl next week, but one of the things that it was like kind of concerning is it felt kind of like the Bills game where we won, and then we're like, yeah, well, a lot of our guys got hurt though. And so I mean, I hope that we can overcome this going forward, and that those guys are healthy and back. So,
yeah, unlike the O-line, I'm not too super worried if the wide receiver core is a little bit beat up going into the Super Bowl, because we saw what happens when your O-line gets decimated going into a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And as Travis Kelce alluded to on his podcast, I'm pretty sure Andy Reid could scheme up people's dads getting a touchdown with his offense, right? So as long as the O-line and Patrick Mahomes are healthy, I wouldn't be too concerned, but it is a valid concern. And we just got Hardman back. He played 6 snaps and got hurt again. Tony's he's been hurt since he got drafted by the Giants, it seems like. 2 weeks though, it's a lot of time. We saw what 1 week you could do with a high ankle sprain and Patrick Mahomes and the right rehab treatment. So I wouldn't be too concerned with 2 weeks. Same athletic training staff working on these guys. But yeah, we'll get more into that next week for sure. I wanted to bring up was we saw. Oh, go ahead, Scott. You go first.
No. I already answered the question. That's
because I wasn't paying attention.
I'm reserving judgment until a week down the road. I want to see what they look like a week out. At 2 weeks, you get a lot. You can get a lot of healing and a lot of treatment in 2 weeks. So, that's not a big concern for me right now.
Right. Going on 2 hours, and I don't want to take up too much more time, but I noticed we did have some locker room rant guys in here, and I was just looking up the last dab's only $22, and they have next day delivery, guys. So that's on. It's on Hot Ones. What is it? HeatOnIST.com. That's their official website right there, gentlemen. So
a bottle. It's $22 a bottle.
Yeah. You only need should last a while.
Yeah, a long while. That's good. I think they're gonna.
For them, it's gonna be one dab and then probably straight into the trash.
Right.
For all of our listeners that don't know what I'm talking about, there's another show that we all enjoy to watch, and Scott is good friends with, the Locker Room Rant by our friends John V, Tony, and Nick. They're Bills Mafia, 49ers, and Browns fans. They do a show every Tuesday night. Go give them Go check them out. Give them a like and subscribe. They're hilarious. But we made a bet with them on which of our teams would go the furthest this year. And since we're going to the Super Bowl and all their teams are out, we obviously win. So we get to watch them suffer through some hot wings sometime soon.
Yeah, John V's Niners, Tony's Bills, and then Nick is a Browns fan, so he ended up picking the Cowboys as his team. And, you know, they kind of had the field, and we had the Chiefs, and Chiefs still pulled it out for us.
Mahomes versus the field.
Man, I kind of want to know what that sauce is like. I almost feel like maybe we should just be like, you know what, man, we're going to eat the wings with you just because you're good sports, but kind of curious to know what that sauce tastes like.
It says it's over 1 million Scoville. It's called the Apollo Last Step.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember which one we agreed to do, but
the tasting notes. Okay, so for the tasting notes on it, it gets an 11 out of 10 for heat.
Which one is that? Is that the Apollo one?
The Apollo Last Dab, yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Is that
Apollo.
The one they're getting? I don't remember agreeing to like a specific one, but
I'm just saying they have next day delivery.
Or no?
Yeah, Tom Brady retired. Good riddance.
For realsy this time.
Talking about, you know, in typical Tom Brady diva, Super Bowl's coming up. Oh, I'm gonna release my my retirement video today. Like, do you wait until after the Super Bowl? Fucking jerk off.
Tell us how you really feel.
He'll end his career with only having a losing record against one NFL franchise, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right there, baby. Owned them. Although he did beat us in the Super Bowl, but
yeah, except in the post.
His fucking defense beat us, and then the referees beat us in that Super Bowl. So, yeah, good riddance. Not gonna shed any tears for Tom Brady retiring. Anything else you guys want to get to before we get out of here?
Yeah, real quick for all the people saying the NFL's rigged, bet on the Chiefs. You won't lose.
Yeah.
I've got the flow chart if we want to look at the flow chart.
What's that?
There is a flow chart for how it works. I mean,
you had a flow chart. You should. I'll send it to Scott. He can put it out on our Twitter account or something. Or
I'll put it on the Instagram. I
we'll put it on Instagram. I made a flow chart on how to determine if the NFL is rigged. So,
right. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. Went a little bit long. Appreciate everybody sticking with us. Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl. You guys, any final thoughts you guys got before we get out of here, Nick? About the season or the game or the playoffs or just anything?
Yeah, congratulations to the Eagles. We didn't get into that game. I know Jamie was watching. I don't know if he's still watching, but congrats to your Eagles, buddy, on just a really dominant postseason. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that team.
I was saying that wasn't much of a game to talk about. Like
no, it wasn't. But so congrats to the Eagles, congrats to the Chiefs, congrats to the Kingdom here. We've been waiting a long time for something that is not even this good. And when it came, it was better than anybody could have anticipated. We've got the guy, the Michael Jordan, whatever whoever you want to compare him to of the NFL on our team. And he's doing it, and he's in his prime right now. So enjoy it while it lasts, and don't stress too much about the game.
Bo, final thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. Congratulations to the Eagles, man, on not just a dominant postseason, but a dominant season. I mean, they kicked ass. I think it's so cool. We're about to witness the Kelsey Bowl. I think it's the first time brothers have ever faced each other in the Super Bowl. So I already bought my shirt from New Heights. I got the clashing Kelsey helmets. So looking forward to that to come in. Other than that, go Chiefs.
I might have to get one of those. There's a Know Your Role and Shut Your Mouth, or I think it's just Shut Your Mouth Jabroni shirt you can get online too. I'm gonna have to send you guys
all right
on that, and maybe that'll be a birthday present to you guys. I know Nick's got a birthday coming up and Bo's birthday, so yeah, it's just been a lot of fun, dude. Like thinking about the season's not. I mean, it's not over. I guess the regular season, the playoffs technically are over because the Super Bowl is coming up, but just going back to week one, like doing the show at Pub Rock in Arizona and going to that game out there. And now the Chiefs have made the Super Bowl. We're going back to Arizona and just all the ups and downs. Yeah, that'd be good too. That's going to be around somewhere too. There's going to be a Burrowhead my ass shirt that's going to be going around. So yeah, it's just been a lot of fun, a lot of cool experiences, made a lot of cool friends along the way. The channel has really grown kind of by leaps and bounds here, and we're working on some exciting stuff for next year. Try and get some sponsors, try to get some more giveaways, give back to the fan base a little bit. It's just been a lot of fun. Really appreciate everybody who watches, everybody who follows us, everybody who subscribes, everybody who sends us comments, all of our friends. We got John C. and Brenda, and like you guys mentioned, our guys at the Locker Room Rant, and Laney and Big Doug and Dylan and Carol and our Bills fan there, Hate in the NFL. Appreciate everybody who joins in and watches. It's been a lot of fun. And like I said, if you haven't clicked or like or subscribe yet, make sure you do that. That helps us out a lot. Let's roll that video one more time, the montage.
One more
Send us
again.
off, baby. Chiefs are going to Super Bowl 57. We will have our preview show next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Until then, let's go Chiefs and roll that video, Bo.
Let's go Chiefs. Go Chiefs.
This thing's rigged, man. Feels like this thing's rigged, but damn, it's fun, man. It is a fun time to be alive.
Whoever's writing it, thank you.
Burrowhead instead of
Burrowhead. Whoa!
Yeah.
The disrespect to Arrowhead continues.
They're throwing a lot of bullets and board material out there.
Keep talking. Keep saying we're the underdogs. Keep calling it Burrowhead.
Giving us a chip on our shoulder, right? Keep giving us a reason to have one.
That's when you know that you're going to win the playoff game, and you can feel it.
We didn't wait to call MJ the GOAT. What are we waiting for? His instincts, faster, better than Brady. He moves better than Brady, arm better than Brady, winning more early over Brady, not relying on defense like Brady.
Trying to buy some time on that bad ankle. Moving to his right. He is now scrambling, and he's going to get a first down. And now gets hit late. He gets hit late. He gets hit late. Mahomes gets hit late. It'll be a 15-yard penalty on top of the gain. Harrison Butker, the biggest kick of his Chiefs' life. Placement is down. Butker's kick is up. The spinning kick high, floating in the air. And it is good! 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 Did Cincinnati call timeout? They did not! They did not! They did not! Formation, and it is caught over there now, slipping, and the Chiefs will tackle him! This game is over! This game is over!
I don't know who the hell they think they was calling this Burrowhead. I don't know who the hell they thought they was talking about let's go finish us off. They'll take their bum ass back to Cincinnati. Man, they came to Chiefs and got their ass stuffed off.
Woo! Burrowhead my ass! Woo! It's Mahomes' house!
I told them this year they barely got my best. I told them with the playoffs though, I'm the f***ing king. They gotta holler at me every f***ing game.
You can doubt the Chiefs! You can dislike the Chiefs! You can disrespect the Chiefs! You're gonna have to deal with the Chiefs as the AFC champions!
Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth.